All right. Welcome, everyone, to tonight's session. I'm AJ Smith, and I'm thrilled to have you join me for what promises to be an incredible conversation packed with insights, strategies, and inspiration for anyone looking to thrive in real estate. Before we dive in, I want to remind you that I go live every Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Time with a brand new guest or topic. If you're serious about building wealth, growing your portfolio, or just learning from top experts, make sure to tune in weekly. You won't want to miss it. Tonight, I'm excited to introduce someone who has mastered the art of investing in one of the most underrated asset classes out there, mobile home parks. Our guest, Tim Woodbridge, is a seasoned investor and operator who has successfully scaled his portfolio to include over a dozen mobile home parks across the United States. Tim's expertise goes beyond just acquisitions, guys. He's built and managed a team that operates properties nationwide and has also invested in other asset classes, making him a true force in this industry. So we're also going to dive into one of our most exciting partnerships. It's a 75-lot mobile home park in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, that's outperforming our initial projections. And Tim's bringing unparalleled knowledge to the table, from finding and evaluating deals to crafting winning exit strategies. So tonight, we'll uncover how Tim got started in real estate, why mobile home parks stood out to him, the inside story on our Oklahoma City deal and what's driving its success, his approach to scaling, team building, and identifying opportunities in the market as well. So grab your notebooks, get comfortable, get ready to be inspired by one of the best people in this business. Without further ado, let's welcome Tim Woodbridge.
Hey, AJ, how's it going, man? Thanks for having me.
Good, Tim. No, thank you for joining us. And just to kick some things off, how did you start your real estate journey and what led you to mobile home parks?
I mean, it's like the same story. I feel like everyone, I was a nurse, picked up Rich Dad, Poor Dad, asset liability, new terms to me at the time. And it's just from there, you know, did a deep dive, read a ton, listened to a ton of podcasts, just got obsessed with it. And yeah, got into mobile home parks because I heard Frank Rolfe talk about mobile home parks on the Bigger Pockets podcast. And it just something, a few things about it really grabbed me. And from there, I just kind of found one and closed it. And like, that's a super, super simplified version of the story, but it's kind of that. I mean, yeah, there was a lot of unforeseen things and a lot of things like a lot of the time I didn't think we were going to close. But, it's really, I found the thing that excited me. I did it. I went out and did it.
Love it. Yeah. And I think a lot of people get stuck in that analysis paralysis stage. Like, you started listening to the Bigger Pockets podcast, you listened to this great guest, you thought it was really cool. A lot of people stop there and they kind of get paralyzed by just the amount of information they don't know, the amount of action they have to take. What would you say helped you move past that into actually buying that first deal?
I mean, so I think part of it is my personality. It's just like a little bit of impatience and a little bit of like just do the thing and like figure it out as we go. And that's just me naturally. So it might be a little bit easier for me to do stuff. But like honestly, um, a lot of it's just like, okay, accepting that I'm never going to know everything and like do the best I can, learn everything I can, and like accepting that when things go wrong, because they will, like I have confidence that I will figure it out. Like honestly, I have confidence everyone will figure the stuff out if they really let themselves put themselves in that situation. So it's like sometimes people are like, oh, tell me everything about mobile home parks. It's like I can give you a high level, but you just got to do it, man. You just got to really do it. There's things that like I'll forget. Like if I'm trying to give you a big overview of it, like I'll forget, oh yeah, in my first park there was a sewer leak and I had no freaking idea what to do. It scared the hell out of me. And like I reached out to my friend who has had a lot more mobile home park experience than me, and he kind of helped guide me into that, like into what to do. And basically it was call a plumber. That was spoilers, right? Call a plumber and get them to figure it out. But I had no idea this was my first investment property. But yeah, there's so much that is like you just, if you're interested, if you want to go and be that operator kind of person, you just got to go and do it.
Yeah, there's an element of you have to be willing to risk it. You have to be willing to not know everything and still take action. But also you have to be able to lean on your network. And so it sounds like you already had a decent network of people who were in the space. How did you go about building that?
Randomly. My life is super random, or it was. It's more intentional now, but like at the time, so when I first got into real estate, my idea was like, oh man, I want to get rich. That's it. That was it. I want to like this is what all the rich people are doing. I'm going to go do that. And it has definitely evolved over time in a lot of ways, but that was where it first started. And then so my friend who I'm talking about like lives in the same town, like lives in Charleston, South Carolina. We randomly like ran into each other at a local RIA, and like it was a RIA meetup that I went to just about every week. He had just moved to Charleston and like was there and talking about mobile home parks. So it was super random. And then like from there, I mean, especially in the mobile home park space, a lot of it's networking on like Facebook and seeing the same names over and over, like chatting and or calling and or whatever. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it for me at least is just time in it, right? So time around mobile home park people and having those calls and just like yeah, it's interesting how small the community is, like it's a big world, but man, the community is small. I mean, not as much with multifamily as like mobile home parks, but it's still like, I mean, you still come up with the same brokers, the same people, the same players. And it reminds me, it's like, okay, like this is super long term.
Yep.
So, I mean, to do good, but also do good so you're not like screwing yourself over.
Right. Right. Yeah. Leave some meat on the bone for other people, basically. Well, I think something that was cool that you mentioned earlier, right? It seemed random, but I think there was an element of, I'm going to get super nerdy on everyone. So please hear me out. There's something called your reticular activating system, RAS, right? And so with that, you were laser focused on mobile home parks. You already had decided, like, okay, I have an interest in buying a mobile home park in the future. So when someone else came to this RIA and you heard them speak about it, that activated that and it made you want to go talk to them and build that network a little bit more. And so I think that's a great lesson for a lot of people. Once you choose to go down one path, or once you decide like, hey, I'm really interested in this thing, your brain starts to pick up on opportunities to move that thing forward. And speaking of that, I'm just curious, you had mentioned, your first mobile home park investment, you called up this friend. Can you tell us more about that first one? You had the sewer leak. What were some of the hurdles? What were some of the challenges? What was the process like closing that very first deal?
Well, so first I want to say like on the reticular activating system, I was just at the Tony Robbins event this past weekend up in Newark, New Jersey. So like that's super like top of mind right now. It's funny how things like that work. But yeah, so the first park, I mean, it's like listen to the podcast. Frank Rolfe said check out mobilehomeparkstore.com. I was like, that's totally a fake website. Type it in. Oh, it's a real website. Okay. And then searching, oh, like found one that was either I found it or a old coworker of mine, friend of mine found it. I don't know. When I'm excited about something, I'm talking to everyone about it, right? So I know I was sharing with him. He might have found this one, and it was an hour 15 or so away from where I live, and basically, it was for sale by owner. I didn't really know anything about like pricing. I mean, I knew hard, fast numbers, right? And so, he wanted a certain price, and I was like, I don't know, that doesn't sound right. And all the doubt that everyone goes through, and I still kind of go through, but it's not in the same way. But it's like he had his number. Okay, I called him and I was nervous. I called him and then it went to voicemail. And I was like in my head, thank God it went to voicemail because I don't want to do this call. And I was like, how would I text? Hey, not sure if I have the right person, but I'm looking for this person who owns this property. Let me know. And then I get a call back, I don't know, the next day or something. And I'm super nervous, but I, answer it. And we're just having a call, like a conversation, just like we're talking. And get to know him a little bit. And he's a retired pharmacist. I was a nurse at the time. And it was, just kind of building that rapport. And he said, well, come on up. I'll show you the park. So I did. And, I'm going to this like little California guy going to the middle of nowhere, South Carolina. I was relatively new to South Carolina. So let's see. Yeah, probably 2 years I've been here and only in Charleston. So I'm going to the middle of what I thought was nowhere at the time. And I'm meeting some random guy and I'm nervous. It's scary and all craziness, but I meet him and I get out of my car and I'm 5'6" and he and his brother are there and they're probably both 6'2". So they're big guys. But again, it's just, I emphasize because it's so funny. It's so like the idea of it is crazy, but we go, they drive me around the park. They're totally nice guys, great conversations. It was like 10 of 36 lots occupied. I make the comment like, how come, like, don't take offense to this, but how come this isn't more occupied? And he's like, well, I don't have to. Like, I'm getting a check every month. I don't need to put that work in. And so yeah, of course, I'm nervous about everything the whole time. It's like a crazy situation. But we go to lunch, the seller and I have like a backpack. And I have one contract in there with one price. I totally did not prepare well. That's just me. I don't always prepare well. I just do it. And so I was like, okay, well, based on this many lots occupied and this lot rent, this is like the value I can give you, or this is the price I can give you. And he's like, no, no, no way. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll just walk away. We can part as friends. And he's like, I can't do it for less than this. And I say, okay, if I pay you this, like, can we do it? And he said, yes. And I didn't even have another contract. So he could have said yes. And he could have said, to hell with you, Tim, I found someone else. But he's a man of his word. And so long story short, it's under contract. I send him stuff. Can't find a bank. Like, no bank wants to lend to someone who has no real estate experience to work a park that's 10 to 36 occupied. And like, I called 20 banks and got 20 no's. And then finally the seller says, oh, well, how about like, let me hook you up with my friend. Like, we grew up together. He's the vice president of the local bank. And so I go into the local bank and talk to the banker, and he says, yes, I'll give you 70% loan. And I was like, okay, that's amazing. That's a start. And like, there's so many points in between, like from like beginning to end, where I was like, this is probably not going to happen. This isn't going to happen. And also this is too expensive. I'm getting it for too much. I'm getting ripped off. There was another guy I knew just randomly who had been in mobile home parks a lot. And he's like, that's way too overpriced. And so that was getting in my head by far. But anyway, so we get the banker says, okay, I'll lend you 70% of the purchase price. And then when I had first got it under contract, I asked the seller if he'd finance the whole thing, because why not, right? And he said, no, but I'll finance a little bit. So he ended up financing 25%.
Wow.
So the bank's giving 70, he's financing 25. And at first he wanted like 5% fully amortized, and then like the DSCR was awful. So like, and the banker told me that. He's like, we can't, that doesn't even make sense. So I had to call him and be like, can we do interest only, and then like for a year, and then I'll get you all back. And so a lot of this was like, yes, I have an idea on how to do this. I don't know exactly. And it was like, let's keep these conversations going.
Yep.
Because we all wanted the same thing. He wanted to sell and I wanted to buy, and the banker wanted to give us the loan, but he had some DSCR requirements. So everyone's on the same page. And so that's 95%. And then had my current partner bring the 5% cash. It wasn't that much, but he did. And I brought the like closing costs. And so it happened. We closed it, and I was like, okay, I don't know what the next step is, but I'm pretty sure I gotta fill this thing up. 10 to 36 occupied. How can I bring more homes into this? And it was end of 2019, and going into 2020, COVID happens, and like all sorts of craziness happened. We all know the world was crazy. I was working in a hospital, I know. But with that caveat, it worked out really well for me. Not to discount any of the horribleness or any of the craziness, but because everything was shutting down, Legacy Homes said, "Hey, we really want to keep our factories open, and so we're going to finance these homes to park owners with vacancy 100%. You just have to get it set up." And I didn't even know like what setup really entailed. I had an idea, but I didn't know really. And so we placed an order for 7 homes, and they shipped them to us. And I figured out what setup entailed a lot more than I had thought. A lot of money was going on my personal credit cards and whatnot, and figuring out how to get this guy paid. Um, Thankfully, he was a friend of a friend, the guy who runs the setup company, moving and mobile home park or mobile home setup. So like I figured it out and kind of like pre-sold some homes to like make up some difference, and just a lot of sleepless nights. Like, how am I going to do this? And figured it out and filled up these 7 homes with all like lease with an option to purchase tenants. So there's all these like 5,000 to 10,000 to, I think one person put $15,000 option payment. All of these notes are based on like what they can pay per month and what they want to pay per month and what they can put down. And so like, yeah, just taking all that money in, paying the guy off, and getting everything full. And at the end of 20, we had those 7 additional plus 2 people had moved their homes in. So like 2 organic move-ins. So I would go to 19 of 36 occupied. We did a refi at like, I don't know, 14 months or so, 15 months, whenever, after we purchased the park. And the value had more than doubled. And yeah, it's like, I was like, oh, this is magic. Like, I don't understand this, but this is how they do it. This is some magic stuff. And so we refied, got my partner all his money back, got me all money back. We made, like 7 grand. We paid ourselves each on top of that. And so now we have it, no money's into it, and we're just cash flowing it. So it's like a lot of it I'm unsure of. I act and I'm unsure, but I have an idea of how it's going to work. Obviously, things are a lot more dialed in now with the teams I have, and Matthias is like an amazing underwriter and makes sure that like everything's dialed in, and I'm like reviewing business plans, and we're making sure we're on the same page. But like from the beginning, it was just do the thing, figure it out. And I know that like I'm cognizant that I'm not going to be losing money. I'm cognizant I can't negative cash flow because I'll go under real easy. But like everything else is like I have an idea and then I just do it.
And I'm really curious. So, like, you got it up to 19 out of 36, and you guys are cash flowing, doubled the value. Is it now to the point where you are at the same spot the old seller was, and it's like, well, I don't really need to fill up the rest of them because I already basically like made my money? Or is it you guys are pushing that value even further? Kind of, how are you guys approaching that part?
I think I'm 34 at 36 occupied right now. So I'm not really the like, okay, this is fine. When I see like there's either value that could be added or there's something that could be done, that's just me. I'm not a like sit on like rest on my laurels kind of person. And for better or for worse, people talk about, oh, give me that $10,000 passive and then I'll go sip margaritas on a beach. I get too antsy. Not my thing, dude. So yeah, we're doing pretty good with that park, even though, I mean, there's pluses and minuses. Like this year, I had some major plumbing issues and like cost like $30,000 or more than $30,000 this year. So it's like, it's doing well, but it's not like passive. It's not like I just sleep on it. Now I have a better community manager. I got a bookkeeper who's a VA bookkeeper. I've got a good property management assistant. I've got better systems in place, but it's likely never going to be to the place where I'm like, I don't have to think about this at all.
Yeah. Well, and so that was the first park. And I know you have some other parks even right now that you're going after, but I'd love to talk about what excited you the most about that 75 lot mobile home park that we did in Oklahoma City.
Sherwood?
Yeah.
So it's 75 lots, 74 occupied by tenant-owned homes. And it's just super like stable. Stuff like that is like super stable. It's, $150 under market rent, 150 plus under market rent. And the other one that is at market rent is it's like POS little like park. Like you walk through Sherwood Forest, you're like, this is a community, man. This
Yeah.
is like a neighborhood, kind of like my first park. They're all like quarter acre kind of lots. It's not just like tiny, home. It's like, no, this is a neighborhood. This is a community. So stuff like that, is exciting. And then walking through, talking to some of the people, and they're like, man, I've been here 5, 10, 15 years. I've been here since like 2 owners ago and stuff like that. And, everyone's just, they're living in an affordable way and doing their own thing. And it's like, okay, how can we come in? How can we bring value? How can we raise rents up? Not like crazy, but raise them up, get close to market. Don't go to full market rent year one. Like go slowly and create that kind of win-win situation so everyone involved is doing well. That's what's exciting.
And so we recently had our quarter one or our first quarterly meeting where we shared with investors kind of how the property is performing, what some of the projections were, how it's outperforming some of those. I'm just really curious. Can you share with the audience what some of the key decisions were to drive that extra value to the point where now, we're doing really well at that park?
I mean, most of that stuff is that we're very conservative with our underwriting. So it's like you have like if as long as we're conservative, it's like conservative enough without like being overly conservative, like being very cognizant. It's like I know likely what it's going to be, and then like being conservative, and there's usually like a little bit of a delta. But even if like some stuff comes up, because I mean, right, the sewer issue of my first park for the, like year one or the same park this year, stuff happens. So as long as we're like a little bit conservative, we can beat those projections. And so like it's plus we have Sam who's doing an amazing job and like getting the right people in the right seats sort of thing. And just there's not a lot of moving parts on that park, so it is very, in a lot of ways, very straightforward. I mean, you still have some things happen though, like because there was that person who wanted to move out, like so they sold their home and we bought their home for like nothing. Not nothing, but it was a little beat up. So we'll make a little bit of money on that. Not much, but we'll get someone else in there. And just like little things happen. And it's just like, okay, like, so a park, apartment, RV park or whatever, it's, you treat it like a business. So you're the captain of the ship, right? Or Matthias and I and everyone involved. We're the captains of the ship. We know where we want to go. Sometimes you hit a wave or whatever, and you just kind of, be gentle with it and right the ship up. So you're still like, okay, that put us off course a little bit, but how do we get back?
Right. And when people think about adding value, I know there's a lot of people that are in, say, the multifamily space that think about adding value as we're going in, we are brand new kitchens, brand new bathrooms. How do you add value to a mobile home park? It's a little different, I think, for folks that might be watching. There might be a lot of people that are thinking, how in the world would you add value to something like that? Can you just speak to that for them?
Yeah. So, well, the first thing we're doing, or the first thing we did, is transfer over everyone into Buildium, into property management software, so they can pay easier and they can put any kind of requests in, maintenance requests in easier. And they can, also pay, go to use Pay Near Me, go to a Walmart, like do that. So we don't have a Dropbox. So no more inconsistencies there. Other than that, so in general, you can do like road work is a big one in mobile home parks. Tree work is a big one in mobile home parks, and we're doing both of those in Sherwood. Cleanup is a big thing, and it's tricky, especially with all these tenant-owned homes. Like, what can you do? And so a lot of it's like finding people for not taking care of what they're doing. I mean, everyone signed the lease with all the plethora rules and regulations that we put together. So it's like, bro, if you want to be messy, like you're gonna get fined. It's right here, and look, here's your signature too. So, and there stuff like that we can in other parks. In our the park we have in Spurg, we have revitalized a lot of homes. We've painted them, made them look nice, but also we don't tend to put a ton of money in. So like with an apartment, you want to put money in so you can super jack up rents. So we're kind of like, okay, we want to put less money into these homes and maybe get someone in as like a handyman who can fix it up themselves. I mean, it's livable, but it's not the prettiest. Why don't they come in, make it pretty to their standards so they can pay a little bit less because we're affordable housing.
Right. And speaking of Spartanburg, you've got South Carolina, you got Oklahoma. When you're looking at markets, how do you decide which markets to target for mobile home parks? And what are some of the data points that you guys look at that are the most critical in that analysis?
So I'm going to totally defer. You're going to have Matthias on this call like another time because it's true. It's true. So what I do, I talk to brokers. Like we have our states that like the parameters, right? And for the longest time, it was like, I mean, like red states, landlord friendly states, whatever. Since then, it's like been a lot more like well defined where we're looking. And so really, I just see what's available in the states that we're targeting, and then I talk to the brokers, and then I send the deal like to Matthias, and he like goes and does all that stuff, all that amazing stuff that is super necessary, but that I'm just not good at myself. So, but it's like his bread and butter, he loves numbers, he loves data. That's what he does. So, like, what's working really, really well for us is everyone on the team is doing what they're excited about doing, and no one's really doing things that they hate to do. And because I did things that I hated to do for years, and it's just getting better when I don't have to do that stuff.
Yeah, and the team's so important. When you have the right people in the right roles, it can propel you so quickly. So, what does your team look like, and how do you manage those operations across? How many mobile home parks are you at right now?
We will be at 15 tomorrow. Ah,
15 tomorrow.
two more. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so across 15 mobile home parks in different locations, how are you guys managing that, and what does that team look like?
So the core team is Matthias, myself, Marianne, and Vinny. Carias. I always say their last name wrong. I wonder if they're watching and going to give me hell for it. They're amazing to work with. And then, we have different people who help us with like investor relations, asset management, like depending on the deal. So that's like the core team. And then in terms of the property management side, it's so like Matthias, myself, and Marianne kind of do asset like the higher level asset management that's like really like focused on the nitty gritty. And then our property management team is, we've got a bookkeeper, back end VA, who's like a property management assistant, lives in Mexico, speaks fluent English and Spanish, is a rock star. And then, like in each community, we have a local community manager. So, yeah, just defined roles and responsibilities, and it's getting more and more defined as we go. And, we're tweaking things, getting better, and making it so I was on the phone earlier with the local community manager for the Virginia parks that we're closing tomorrow. And, we had met her when we went up there to do like due diligence, and it seems like she's doing a great job. And while on the phone, I was just like, a lot of my job is ensuring that you don't hate your job. So if you do, like, be open and honest. No one on our team will give you hell saying, "Oh, this isn't working," or "I hate this," or like, Tim, Matthias, I hear you guys are saying this way, but this way works better." Like, we'll be super grateful for people to do that. So, the more I do, the more I'm kind of leaning into that support role. Like, how can I support these amazing people? And like, even further, so, we have four different acquisition teams kind of replicating what Matthias and I do here in the Southeast. People, who are looking at different areas, different states. And it's like, how can I support all of these amazing people in the best I can? Like, if you're doing something that you hate, then it's not going to be long lasting. So let's make it so you're excited about doing it. And if you're not excited, how can I help shift?
Right. Yeah. So you're stepping more into a leadership role, really, and kind of developing those people. In terms of the other assets that you've invested in, it hasn't just been mobile home parks so far. So I'd love to know, how do mobile home parks compare to your other investments in terms of returns, risk, management? Could you speak to that?
Yeah. So this is going to be skewed. So except consider the source, man. Um, so the apartment, there's more moving pieces than I would like. I thought it was going to be more simple, but that's just me being silly, and recognizing, I thought the grass was greener, but the grass is just different. And then the RV park, same thing. I'm glad I have the experience. If I ever did an RV park again, it would be a lot bigger and it would spit out a lot more money because you can do a lot of things with more money. It's very difficult to do things with not much money. But yeah, so I mean, plus like with RV parks, so I don't like that someone can dislike you and then they'll just leave. And it's like look, I'm trying to make everyone happy. People don't generally dislike me, but like I don't want to like be kept up at night and like worried about this person leaving and then having to have this complete marketing funnel going on the whole time, and that's just like, why? So yeah,
Because
I like it. I like it
or
more.
RV parks are more kind of laissez-faire, like people can go in and out as they please, whereas mobile home parks are more long term. Is that right?
Yeah, it's more like your home. Granted, like I do like long-term RV parks. I do, I'm all about affordable housing. Everyone needs a place to live. So some people live in RVs in a long-term RV park. I love that. But like also at the same time, it's like, well, like that works until it doesn't, I guess. And I might overthink stuff like that. I know a lot of people who are super successful in both our regular transient RVs, long-term RV parks, everything like that. But for me, I just it's not. I don't have a ton of appetite for it.
Right. So there are different ways to exit a mobile home park, and I know you've done a couple. What factors influence the decision to hold the property long term versus selling it, refinancing it? Kind of what's the thought process behind that?
So I've sold two, and one it was because someone offered us an amazing price, and the other one was because it was a pain in the ass, and we kind of want to get rid of it. And it was a pain because like everyone had moved on to bigger and better, and it was like a thorn in the side. And it's like, okay, these other guys will do a lot better than we can because we're not able to pay attention to it as much anymore. But like, so what influenced, like, yeah, so the good price on that first one. How do we like generally decide for refi? I've only done one refi, and it was that first park because I wanted to get the seller out his money back. um but now we're like 5-year hold. Let's do a 5-year hold. Let's not, say we're going to do any refi. If rates go way low and we can refi, then, everyone's amazing. Everyone's good. Your IRR goes through the roof. Everyone's happy. But like, if I can simplify something and make it like, okay, I'm going to double your money in 5 years with cash flow and appreciation, like, and it can be conservative, and I can see it. I've done this enough. I can see, okay, yeah, that all makes sense. That's what we look for. Obviously, like if we had an investor who wanted to hold for shorter, who wanted not shorter, because I don't like shorter. I don't like rushing. So if they're like, hey, I want to hold for 7 to 10 years, I'd be like, sweet, let's do it. What's that? What kind of metrics do you need in terms of returns? So I guess really, if I'm stepping back, it's like, oh, who's putting up money? Like they can make that decision. And
Yeah.
I know it's not like with syndicated deals. I know I'm a managing member of a GP, and like if we wanted to, sure, we could do whatever, and obviously, like we could sell. As long as all this stuff is in the operating agreement as it is, but really we would never do that without having a consensus of people. So like, say someone came and they're like, oh, you just bought Spartanburg for, 38,000 a pad. We'll give you 70,000 a pad. I'd be like, oh shit, okay, but let's talk to everyone else, because what are the implications that that's going to have to everyone else? Sure, whatever that did to your returns. I know it's good without even running numbers, but like what are the implications? Oh, this person just put in a couple $100,000, and like they did it because they were really excited about that 5-year hold. They didn't like, they get the idea of velocity of money and churning it, but they really don't like that kind of hustle. That's not their, like, they're just putting money in to be super passive. They have whatever other business where it's making them a ton of money. So it'd be like, I like, if with that great price, if I'm not considering this person's position, I'm screwing over my investor. And that's the antithesis of what we all want to do, right?
Right. So yeah, there's the consequence. There's a consequence of taxes that creates a taxable event when you sell a property that influences how much people are paying on their returns at the end of the day. There's the consequence of, one person wants to be doubling their money and they might be super happy, but another person might just be looking for income. And so when that income shut off, then that affects them as well. So I think that's a great consideration that you have there. What would you say is one mistake you've made in your investing journey, and how has it shaped your approach to deals today? Just one. Just big one.
So I have said many times to Matthias, I knew how to take mobile home parks down and kind of run them high level and build wealth with them. He has helped me to run numbers and get consistent cash flow. For a long time, I wasn't paying myself. I was just doing it and like figuring it out. And that was fine. But, you know, that doesn't, like, what is it? Equity doesn't pay my bills, basically. So, it's both. And so it's like being more thoughtful when putting offers out. So it's like, okay, like I used to be stressed about, am I overpaying? Just like I said with that first deal, am I overpaying? Blah, blah, blah. Now it's more like, okay, it's way down on the totem pole. So it's like, what are we going to sell for? What's our 5-year plan? And then like, what are we paying? And like, as long as we are having the 2x equity multiple for our investors is be like top of mind, then like everything else will I overpay on some things? A little bit, but like if I overpay and I get 2% interest only for 5 years, fully, seller financed, like, yeah, am I confident that'll, as long as we can go out 5 years and make it like, okay, yeah, reasonably in 5 years I could sell this, I could at least double our investors returns, then sure, I'll overpay a little bit. It's a lot more complex than I used to think. I used to be like very butting heads with people and like there's no way that it's worth that, and I realize now it doesn't matter what you think it's worth. It matters what it will sell for, and I want to be the person buying. So instead of like, oh man, they're getting one over on me, I'm like, if I can just get out of my own head, if I can think of the investors and trying to get the seller what they want and be happy that the broker is going to get paid their commission, like it's crazy how much stuff opens up because people want to work with me because I'm promise I'm trying to get everyone their numbers. It's just different levers to pull.
Yeah, and it sounds like what you're really doing is you're prioritizing making sure that the different stakeholders, the parties involved in the deal, are kind of getting what they need out of it. And then through that, you're able to close all these deals. The broker's getting their paycheck, the investors are getting the returns that they need. The seller might be getting the price they need, or they might be getting the terms they need. Maybe a seller needs to close quickly and you're able to do that. Maybe they need a certain price and they can carry back a certain amount and you can help them get that price. So it sounds like one of your biggest considerations is how do I make sure the people involved in this deal are all winning, not just me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I know if everyone's winning, then I'm winning too, because we don't run deals like when we're underwriting, we don't go too thin. We don't go thinner than 75-25 split. So like I know that there's baked in equity, there's baked in acquisition fees, there's baked in asset management fees. So it's like we're going to get paid. So if it really helps to get out of my own head. Like, okay, it doesn't matter. Like, that's, I don't even think of that. I'm always surprised now. Like, oh, we're doing like better than I thought. But like, being like having the investors top of mind is amazing. Plus, it allows us to like, okay, like here's this LOI. I know it's way low. You know, I had someone on our acquisition team put out their first LOI yesterday, and you know we just started maybe a month ago, and so amazing. And their LOI is like cash at close is like half of what they're asking is, and I was like, dude, call this person up and like tell them why, because that's gonna seem like you're just being a jerk, but it's like no, we need to get 2x equity multiple for our investors minimum. If we're not getting that, then we're not able to raise the money and we're not going to close the deal and we're wasting everyone's time. So here's the reason. I totally get that it's probably a no. Can I call you in a couple months and see how things are going? Maybe we can, you know, revisit this. And that's it. It's just keeping that. I hope your guy gets everything they want. I hope your seller gets everything they want. If they don't, let's revisit this in a couple months.
It's a great approach because I think you're cushioning it a little bit in terms of, hey, I know this is nowhere near what you want. These are the reasons why we're offering it. It's not just to lowball the heck out of you. It's because we have to get it at this price in order for it to make sense for us and for our investors. Yeah. So when you're looking at the mobile home park investing kind of industry, what are some of the trends that you're currently seeing? And are you adapting your strategy in a certain way based on those?
Yeah, so I was in IMN conference in Nashville. That was, you know, the IMN Mobile Home Park Conference. And a lot of the talk that I had with people was, you know, there's the big players are stepping into the mobile home park space. So your, not just PE firms, but like your institutional investors and your REITs and stuff like that are really, really stepping in. So how that has affected my like the way that we're doing things. So I'll take a step back. So I went to Action Academy event in Tulum in September, and like I had a random idea. I wanted to be in the top 50 of all mobile home park owners, and while they're like, you got to put a time limit on it. And I was like, okay, in 5 years. And so it's totally random. Again, it's just like my first park, right? It's random, but like the idea is there. That's what I want. So I shared that with the rest of the team. They're super jazzed about it. And then being at IMN and everyone's all this institutional money. And I had some amazing conversations with some, you know, friends / big players in the space. And it was like, okay, let's buy everything we can and, you know, hold it for 5 to 10 years, package it as a business that we can sell to institutional investors. So it's not just, oh, here's my really good assets, like give me some good money. It's like, no, you're buying a business that comes with these hard assets. So all of a sudden you're getting a good multiple on everything. And like, so that also changes. Okay, well, what do these big players want? They want mostly like all park owned or all tenant owned homes, almost no park owned homes. So you have to have less than 20% of park owned homes to get, you know, that good Fannie, Freddie, whatever, CMBS debt. And so it's like, okay, we need to start packaging these. We need to start working these with the end in mind of that big investor. I mean, it was always, the end was in mind for, you know, a retail investor, but now it's just shift a little bit. And it's like, how do we get even more? How do we serve the BlackRocks or like the whatevers, right? Like the people who are going to pay top dollar in 5 to 10 years. How do we serve them? So yeah, it's exciting, bro.
It's really exciting. I mean, it sounds like you're shifting your strategy and you're thinking in terms of, because the PE firms of the world, they're going to want to, like you said, buy a business. And with buying a business, they're buying the systems, they're buying the people that are associated with it. And so now, as you're looking at these parks, you're looking at, how do I package this together so it's more sellable in the future, which I would imagine is making everything more efficient. It's making everything more systemized, organized, which makes it easier for you in the short term, but in the long term, it makes it more sellable too.
Yeah, and working with Matthias, I mean, again, German COO, all about numbers, all about systems. Like that's the hack, you know. It's it's not me, it's him more, like getting him on board because like he is very much like, okay, here's the goal, like, 4,000, 6,000 lots, whatever, the top 50. I really have to dial that down, but we'll say we want to be at 4,000 lots, right? So he's like, okay, 400 now. How do we need to act like we have 4,000? And so like get those systems in place now so we can grow into that, get that foundation down. And like things that I high level know I've wanted to do, but I can't implement it alone. And so like having him is the secret power. So, anyone here, don't you dare try and steal him from me. I will be so angry at you.
So speaking of the folks here, there's probably not people that are at the level that you guys are at right now in terms of mobile home parks. There's probably a lot of people who are trying to get started. And so what advice would you give to someone who's looking to get into the mobile home park space and mobile home park investing space, or maybe just real estate in general? What would you say to that person?
So I'll reference the book you have up there, The Go Giver. Like that was a game changer for me. It's like find the people who are where you're at and then help them achieve what they want to achieve. So like, when people ask that same question, right? Like tell me about whatever mobile home parks. And I email them every time. I say, look, I'm only really taking calls for investors or for people who want to be part of the team. And then in that email, I send them, because it sounds super snarky and it's maybe a little bit of snarky, but it's more like, look at this course I made. You can have this course for free, all about mobile home park acquisitions. Go through it. It has the analyzer. It has the video of Matthias explaining the analyzer. It has a ton of these videos I made for Action Academy that I'll just give away to people, because it's like the more knowledge that people have, like the better they are. So it's like take that and do something with it. And if you don't do something with it, that's fine. Whatever. It might not be for you, but like if you do it, like bring us a deal. We'll take it down. We'll have you in it. It's like the vision that we have is bigger than any one of us. So we need a lot of people's buy-in, and we want to be rowing in the same direction. So if you're excited and you want to see, find that deal, lock it up, bring it to us, and like let's talk more. Because maybe it's you get equity for finding the deal, but all of a sudden you're like, I really want to do some due diligence, or I want to do some asset management, or blah, all these different things, and then you get a little bit more equity, and then like, hopefully it's the first of 20 deals and not just one deal. And so it's like, man, I want to attract amazing people to us, and like the vision is there. There's room enough for everyone to come on board. So like by all means, man, like, if anyone has any interest, like shoot me a message. I'll send you the generic email that I send to everyone. And it's so funny.
No.
So I was telling some friends, I was like, man, I'm getting all these people saying, can I pick your brain? And it's bullshit. It was totally like, I don't even know where to begin, like with that kind of answer. And they were like, well, set some boundaries. And so it's a canned email that I send to everyone who says that. And it's just basically like, if you know any investors, bring them. If you want to like the course for free, sign up here. That's it. Put your email in, sign up, and then find the deal. So please, I'm here for it.
So if anyone wants to receive that email, or if anyone wants to reach out to you, where can they find you? What are some of your social media that you're on? Where can they find Tim Woodbridge?
Facebook, obviously. God, I've met so many amazing mobile home park people in Facebook. It's crazy. So tim.woodbridge.54, I think. Instagram, tim.woodbridge. Yeah, I mean, really hit me up there. Send me a message in either of those and just be like, so what I've been on a couple podcasts since I've written that email. And I'm like, if you're interested, say, I want to pick your brain. And then I'll send that directly to you. And it'll be totally a fun little thing that we could laugh about. So I love stuff like that.
And you mentioned the Action Academy before. Are you running any kind of mentorship, mastermind, or are you in any masterminds that you would recommend? Anything that you would share?
Sorry. Yeah, I'm in masterminds. I'm not running anything. So I'm in the deal room that where we met in my first million in multifamily deal room. Yaden and shout out to Yaden and Jennings by far. And then part of Action Academy. I am the mobile home park asset class expert in Action Academy and just joined GoBundance. So definitely like yeah, that I know I've been wanting to do that
It's
for a
my
few
goal.
years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was mine too, for sure. So super excited about that. Already met a lot of amazing people. I'd say for new people, like join the rooms where people are doing the thing, man. Like whatever it is, find that room and be around the people doing it. That it's like it's rocket fuel.
It absolutely is. I know being around you and being around some of the other folks in the deal room, some of my other partners has just been so instrumental, so impactful for me as well in terms of growing my portfolio this year, taking some big steps that I honestly wasn't sure I was able to take. And so having those partners, having those people, mentors that are further ahead than you that can kind of pull you along is so impactful. So speaking of Tim, you're one of those people. Thank you for being on the show. Always good to talk to you. Looking forward to chatting again. I think we got something maybe near the end of the month. But
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, me
everyone
too, dude.
else,
I appreciate you.
absolutely. No, you too. Everyone else, we appreciate you being on and watching. And hopefully you guys got a ton of value out of this. I know I did. We're going to be on again next week, Thursday Central, Facebook Live. Be there, sign up, share it with your friends. And until then, until next time, this has been AJ with Tim Woodbridge, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody.
Thank